Hey, Michael and Tim.
Morning.
So we're just going to have a conversation, just so people know who's here. Tim, you're one of the team members who sells our software, who
Correct.
connects us with people who are considering the software. Michael, you're from the team that helps install the software, train people in how to use the software and get the most of it.
Yep.
And then, I don't do any of that. I just kind of...
That's our job.
What I thought would be useful is just a conversation about that installation process, though, because back in mid-2019, we pivoted to this model where all of our installations are done, or the vast majority are done remotely. That's our preferred way of doing it. And just from a headline perspective, that's working really well because people, I think, are less tired when they're learning the software. They can do it in smaller chunks. We could train somebody over 4 different days with, say, 2-hour sessions each day, rather than doing, you've got to do 8 hours today and 8 hours tomorrow. So we have flexibility with how we do it. But in terms of the training process and the installation process itself, there's a lot you have to plan for and a lot you have to work through to really help them get the most out of the software from the outset.
Correct. Absolutely. A lot of consideration has to be around what the client wants to start with. What do they want to be their starting point? Are they coming from nothing? So they've got nothing to start with, so we can grow from literally the ground up. Or if they've got an existing store, do we have to start with their existing data, make sure they can come across all right? Do they then also have a website connected with that? So the, I wouldn't say difficulty, but the complexity of the install changes depending on where the client is, where they want to go, and how quickly they want to do it. So and that's a very big conversation.
Yeah, and so you have that conversation with them at the start of the process, and at the same time, you're also thinking about the various settings you've got available within the software that help you tailor how the software works for them.
Absolutely. Every question which I might be asking on day one in the first 2 hours is leading on to stuff that we might act on the next day, in the next week, or in the next month. I'm thinking so far ahead that the customer doesn't know that necessarily yet, but the answers to their questions really do tailor the software to achieving what needs to be done for them as best as possible without making a mistake or having to change a complete process. We try and nail it early on.
So let's just kind of pause that conversation there for a second. The first time I met you, you were working in a shop in Western Australia.
Yes.
Your family business. You grew up in retail.
Yes.
And you then realised that regional Western Australia maybe wasn't the best environment for you, and you moved to Melbourne, which is great. And so I would imagine that for a lot of installs, you bring that retail experience to the table.
Oh, absolutely. Like the bare basics of how to serve a customer, and what a POS system needs to deliver. Very much a key thing that's in my mind that I know that this software does do, and showing customers how to get all the information they want, such as when is an item going to turn up next. That quick little question, I can go, yep, this button, and there's the information you're looking for. Or it's go ahead.
Oh, look, I was just going to say, just thinking back on that history as well. Like you were working in that store. You didn't actually have our software originally, and I think that business changed from another system to us, and so you've got that experience of the conversion process as well.
It did, yeah. It was a very quick thing. Had to learn our software and convert our software very quickly from prior knowledge of a different program, and then explain it to people that may have been struggling. But through those struggles of early experiences, I've become a lot more efficient at being able to say, what you're doing here is actually these steps, and let's rewrite that. And now I can explain a process that once took me a year to learn. Now I can explain it, and it's so easy. It genuinely is. So, every install has helped me grow and become better at the job.
So I want to again leverage your own experience in retail in the family shop. And it's a complex shop too. It's a big shop. It does a lot of different things. Now, some of what you had to do at that shop and you have to do today in your job is to help people unlearn some of the old processes and let go of some things that maybe aren't appropriate anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Like certain things were needed back in 10 years ago, which definitely aren't needed now. You can simplify things that are a lot easier, or don't need to be as complex as what they used to be. Some people used to use manual processes to manage accounts, which you don't need these days.
Yeah. Now, I'm going back into my memory of that first time I met you in the shop. I want to say there was, and I'm not talking here about your mum. There was an older lady in the shop who was quite set in her ways on how things should be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of the process was having to deal with the possibility of inflexibility from somebody who, I've always done it this way. This is the way I know how to do it. This is, I'm too old to learn these new things. You must come across that regularly.
I do. I definitely do come across that a little bit regularly. Look,
not in this business though. I don't give you that credit.
Oh no, absolutely no, not from you. Not from you, definitely not. Look, I think the attitude towards change and learning is very important. You've got to understand that this is a different car to what you're used to driving today. You might be driving a Volvo, which has got an ignition down here and the indicators on the other side, whereas this is a Holden, which the indicators on this side. You've got to be open to learning that it is a new bit of software, and it might take a while for us to translate what process you're talking about to work out exactly what you're trying to do. Just show us. We'll find out what information you're looking for and how to get to it.
So imagine I'm the customer and I'm at the start of day 2. We're doing this remotely, and you connect in with the business. And as the customer, I say to you, Michael, yesterday was rugged, was tough, and I'm really struggling.
Okay. So at this point, I would consider, okay, do we break the install down? Because I'm not on site. I'm not committed to being in your store. I'm not staying in a hotel. There's none of that's locked in. We can break your install down into small pieces, which happens quite regularly, which isn't bad. It's all dependent. It allows us, the flexibility of being remote allows us to really, really break it down, and not having that full commitment of a full day is really good. We might do 4 hours today, and the rest of that half day we throw on next week or next day, and we just break the install down as much as we can to help with your learning capabilities, or we just take things as slow as possible and make sure that we nail the bits that we need to nail. Sometimes take out all the extra stuff and just go down to bare basics. What do we need to achieve to get you trading today? What do we need to get you finished by the end of the week? Let's get those targets, make sure we nail those, and other stuff we book more sessions later on to nail them later.
I think one of the things that's interesting is if you're doing an on-site installation, and if someone's, if they're paid for you to be on site for say 2 days or 3 days, it's harder to have that conversation that you just had, because really your response is going to be, I'm only here tomorrow. If we don't get this done now, we're not going to get it done. So I think you've made a good point there. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is I think you and your colleagues on the installation team are really good at listening to people, taking their temperature, seeing how they're going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a skill that initially I was afraid of, not being able to read the customer, but we're listening to the customer a lot, and we're talking and we're breaking things down. Like, I'll draw pictures on the screen if I have to explain processes and make sure that they understand it. I'm a constant check-in, like following me, or always constantly checking in. And if I start to feel that they're not, I'm just like, look, tell me how you're feeling, or let's do what we need to do to make this a better experience, change what we need to change. And every single install that we've done, helps grow, how we read our customers. It's something we're very good at. I feel I'm very good at these days.
So Tim, when you sell a system, you prepare some notes, and you and your colleagues prepare notes for the people who are doing the installation.
Absolutely. So we'll do a checklist, of kind of what they're looking for in terms of functionality, where they want to get to. Our core kind of message in the beginning is we ultimately want to get them from A to B to start with. So simply get them across that line of going from an old system to a new one, or changing across, and just just get up and running. And as I think Michael touched on a minute ago, we can then break it up and we can help after the fact. So in a month's time, if they want to know, right, I'll start doing my reordering through the system or special orders through the system, we can book those additional training sessions with them without extra charge to cover those topics and help them use more of the system down the track when they're ready.
And so, Michael, once you've done an install, you then prepare some notes on how that's gone. And so therefore people like Tim and others in the company get to see anything that's important to be aware of about the install.
Yeah, if there's any parts that or anything that didn't get achieved, or if there's particular training sessions scheduled for later on around what topics. So as Tim said, if special customer orders, which most people don't get done on day 2 or 3, you're just booked in later because you do need to get used to the other base functionalities first. So yeah, if there is issues, they're definitely noted. If there's no issues, it's pretty much good to go. It all depends.
What's the most stressful part about an installation for you?
Besides the early mornings.
The early mornings. Look, I haven't thought about that. What do I find most stressful? The most stressful installations are around data conversion and making, or when there's particular integrations that need to be met. Not knowing how those integrations work to start off with, and then having to learn those and work those. Sometimes the plan is formed during the day. We know we can achieve these certain things, but then we've got to make sure certain other things all line up. Get all those ducks in a row and make sure we nail that process. That's the most stressful thing if that sort of thing is involved. Hardware can sometimes be a stressful thing. We definitely need hardware audits from our customers. We need to know what machines you want us to work with, so they definitely need to be filled out. That can be a stressful thing, but they're generally always there.
Once you've finished an install, our customers have access to the help desk, but more important than that, they have access to a very specific kind of soft landing point within the company. Mm-hmm. Now, on the desk behind you, over your left shoulder, we can see a Jenga set up. Normally sitting in the chair next to the Jenga is a young guy called Min. Now, Min manages our new customer relationship. So Tim sells the system, Michael, you install the system along with your colleagues, and then you hand them over to Min. So Min becomes the specialist in providing very easy access to those early questions new customers have.
Absolutely. So Min gets an introduction with every install that I do. I'll let the customer know that Min will be in touch with them in the next week, at least, generally. And Min deals with most of the incoming calls for new customers for a period of time. And then the customers will get normal support will be answered by normal support members. That's not to say that Min will do every single call if Min's not available and it's a question a normal support member can answer. Absolutely. But they definitely get a nice warm feeling by having a direct person to speak to.
I'm not sure that I agree with the term normal support person. I don't know if I want to refer to them as normal or not normal or whatever. But yeah, look, having Min in that role has, I think, made a big difference because it gives people a very gentle, very focused landing point for new customers. And I think
and Min's role is also somewhat proactive as opposed to the support desk being reactive, where he will make outbound calls to follow up on people to see how they're going rather than simply taking the calls as they come in.
Yeah, it's a really nice interaction I hear with customers and Min. Min's very patient, very much a listener as well, just like the installation team. But he is there to make the customer's experience a nice one.
Just pat yourself on the back. I think you did.
A little bit, maybe a little bit. It was a compliment to Min as well.
Beautifully done. All right, look, I don't want to sort of, talk about it for too long. I do think our process is pretty unique. And I think a lot of that has to do with the experience, Michael, of people like you. That retail experience is invaluable. We certainly understand that installing new software can be stressful and difficult. People can start to second guess themselves. And our job is to help them see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that's not an oncoming train. It's actually good light that they want to get to. And so what would you guys add to kind of wrap the conversation up?
Look, I would say a lot of it simply starts at that sales process in terms of, we're letting our customers decide when they're ready to sign up with us and install. So it's very much their decision to kick things off. So in terms of them being comfortable and ready to make that decision, it's totally when they're ready. And from there, we'll take it and hold their hand through the process. So we do a pre-install plan. We'll help with that. Michael will, when he's doing those installs, he'll look after that data conversion prior to install to have a look at it. And then they're in really good hands. It's, I would say our support service after installation and also, the install process is a really big part of what we do.
Absolutely. And as Tim said, with comfort, if it comes to install day and the customer says, actually, we're not at the point, we haven't got our data ready or stuff like that, I can easily say, okay, no problem. How much more time do you want? Let's see what days we can move you forward to. So even at a last minute decision, we can move, but we still want to be moving forward. Moving backwards is still technically a move forward if it's just getting you more ready. And that's absolutely fine. Like someone might become sick, staff might drop out. If you've got to move, you've got to move.
The lease might not have settled on a store. It's there's a bunch of different reasons.
Any reason. As long as we're still moving forward, it's okay to move backwards.
All right. Well, look, thanks, guys. Thanks for jumping in on the discussion. Michael, you need to go and play with that Jenga and do something to it.
Don't want to make
when
it fall
Vin's
over.
back at his desk, he sees that you've been there.
He'll know.
Thank you.
Thanks.